Council has returned from executive session. It is 6:26. Council was in executive session for 15 minutes and extended for 5. And so at this time, we will move to our action items for presentation. Our first action item for presentation is, and I have an old agenda, can I borrow your agenda really quickly? Is the Millwood Spokane Valley Fire District interlocal agreement for fire inspection services. We have with us Mr.
I'm Ken Johnson with Spokane Valley Fire Department. I'm the Deputy Fire Marshal there.
So, Mr. Johnson, would you care to explain to council the nature of this interlocal agreement and the services that'll be provided?
So what started this was a thorough look through our agreements with the different agencies. And I'm new to the department, so that was one of the things they wanted me to look at. And so reading, yeah, right. And so reading through them, I asked the question of where Millwood's agreement was, and we realized that we couldn't find one. And so that was the first order of business. So what we did is we were in the process of updating them anyway. And so with what we do and the amount of activity that we conduct here in Spokane Valley with the businesses, and then as you'll see in the agreement with investigations and the inspections, that there's some mutual responsibilities that we need to take care of. And so that's why it's important to move forward with the contract or the agreement. So this interlocal agreement will help us to kind of align our expectations of what we're doing out there in the community. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look through it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll try to answer any specific questions.
So this is our first reading of this. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Johnson? Yes, Mr. Culver.
So the fee schedule is consistent through all the jurisdictions in the Valley and County?
That's correct. Yeah, and we're hoping to keep it very similar, just because it's easier for our staff that way to do billing.
And this is applicable to commercial buildings, not residential units, or?
Correct. So in the commercial, like for new housing, new residents, we don't get involved with that. And so that's one of the things that's in the agreement is we don't do garages or, what do they call R1?
Accessory units?
Yeah, accessory units. So it's strictly with commercial buildings, with life safety systems, and covers the annual inspections that we conduct.
Other questions?
So I did hear what you said, you're not going into new buildings and such like that, but just to clarify, you're not going into old houses either, this is all the commercial buildings?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't actually have any authority with residential houses. And so we don't inspect those.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So, Mr. Sander.
No, but some of this, because of our agreement with Spokane Valley, some of this is gonna interplay
This is for
time-wise.
inspection services only.
Yes,
So this is not for any of the building plan review and stuff, that would be forwarded to the department by City of Spokane Valley and handled through that permit
Yes.
system.
Yeah, so since your guys' services already go through the city, we've been doing this already and it's been in place. We just didn't realize there was an agreement that wasn't completed, so.
Any other questions? So we will have this for final reading in September, and you'll be asked to authorize execution of the interlocal agreement. Ken, thank you very much, and
Absolutely.
if we have further questions, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, and on your second reading and third reading, I can be here as well, just in case there's questions.
We'll let you know if I get questions from the council, or if we have any questions come in, we will make sure we get those to you and then see if you need to be here or not. So thank you very much.
Okay.
That'll be great, appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time. You have a good evening.
And just as a note, this has been through Mr. Worst, so this is in, this agreement is presented is in final form.
Yeah, as part of their making their agreement consistent, that's when it was discovered that we didn't have an agreement. We actually provided some comments back, and Spokane Valley Fire incorporated those into the uniform agreement as well. So, yeah, it's been reviewed and vetted. Spokane Valley Fire, excuse me.
So that is our one only action item for first reading. That brings us to our action items for consideration and motion. Our first is the consent agenda. That consists of the council regular meeting minutes for July 2024, the joint council planning commission special meeting minutes for July 2024, the June 2024 payroll report, the June 2024 payroll, and the June 2024 claims. July. Oh, they are July. Okay, I just read what's on here, so they are July, please. As you can see in the blue below, it says July. So, it is there. So at this time, would any member of the council like to take any of these items for separate consideration? Not seeing or hearing anything, do I have a motion on the consent agenda this evening as presented?
I'll move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, the consent agenda is approved unanimously. Thank you. So that brings us to item number 9B, which is Resolution 2024-03, the periodic work plan and the periodic update work plan and participation plan. Ms. Tanya, do you wish to address this?
Yes. So, thank you for doing a one-touch on this resolution. We're on a little bit of a fast track with this grant and the periodic update process. And so I've drafted the resolution, and essentially it adopts the work plan and the public participation plan for the periodic update. The planning commission reviewed both documents at their last meeting and recommended approval. They noted it's an aggressive schedule. I agreed, and I said we can stay on it as long as they stay with me. And the other component that this resolution does is it basically forgoes the annual amendment cycle to the comprehensive plan, because it's never a great practice to have an annual amendment going on with a periodic update. You can have consistency issues. So this would forgo that and then resume it when the periodic update is complete. I'd be happy to go over either the work plan or the public participation plan, but they're pretty detailed, goes through the next 2 years of work, and I've identified pretty much every meeting in there that we'll be having. And then the public participation plan, we're going very broad. We're including a lot of social media, the website, different events, targeted stakeholder groups. We're trying to get out as far as we can on this periodic update. Are there any questions? Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. This is a very detailed plan. I apologize if I didn't see it, but we discussed during the planning meeting that we were supposed to relook at like suburban homesteading criteria. And did that show up on here?
Yes.
And I'm just missing it. I apologize.
Yes, I believe I had it on the, for the, like, the targeted stakeholder groups under the public participation plan. I know I had a reference in here to it, and I have it on my list.
Oh, okay.
It may not be specifically outlined in the work plan, but I do have it considered in the public participation plan.
If a public member was interested in like staying engaged with that particular component, will there be other communications that go out?
So everything we're working on will be posted on the website. There's a brand new link under the latest news, I think it is, 2026 periodic update, and we'll have everything posted under that link right there to its own page.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Tanya on this? So as she did say, this is a one-touch because we need to get this in order for our funding to meet our Department of Commerce requirements for funding. But the Planning Commission has reviewed, and Planning Commission is in agreement with the plan, and as Ms. Tanya said, recommends adoption. And they are the ones that's going to be doing the lift on this. So I believe their blessing counts for quite a bit. Are there any questions for Mr. Worst on this?
I just have one additional question. On the updated timeline, you call out all these entities that we're aligning our stuff with their plans. We did, accept a resolution that we would also be in coherence with the Spokane Food Policy Council, the regional food plan. So I was wondering if just that could be added to that. Since
And which page is this on?
on the first page, it says updated timeline, you say, we'll be, the city will collaborate with the Spokane County. We will also be, consistent with the county planning policy, the climate, resiliency, all that stuff. I'm wondering if it's appropriate for us to call out that we also have on resolution that we will be, consistent with the Spokane Regional Food Plan.
Spokane Regional Food Plan?
Yep, Spokane Food Policy Council, Regional Food Plan.
Food Policy Council.
And I can get you a copy of that if you are interested.
Regional Food Plan per the resolution.
Yes, and I can even get you the resolution. Lisa has a.
Okay.
Sean, is that on the actual resolution, or is it in the plan?
It's in the work plan, it's on page 1 of the work plan.
Okay, timeline.
Is it called, I apologize, I scanned for it and I did not see it. Is it called out in here?
No,
No,
no, but it's
I'm
the
just
the addition where you're at, where this would be amended to would be in the on
Work
page
plan.
1 of the update timeline of the work plan.
And yes, I can add that
Thank
to
you.
the final version.
And it is consistent also with the climate and those regional.
Yes, that's already part of it.
No, but I'm just saying the food plan is, so it's not going to be like earth shattering, but I do think it's important to call out since we made a resolution.
All right.
Okay. So any other comments, questions? Not hearing any, so, Ms. VC has offered an update, or an amendment, or has made us a Scribner's amendment to the plan. I don't think we need to call that out as a regular amendment unless there's anybody on council, seeing nobody, at that, so, but I will say, instead of saying with amendments, we'll say, accepted with changes. So, do I have a motion on the, resolution 2024-03 to accept the resolution 2024-03 with the, indicated changes to the update work plan?
I'll make a resolution to do exactly what the mayor just articulated.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
I wish them luck, it's a lot of work.
They will
A lot of
be,
items there.
they will be busy. I appreciate at this time their commitment to the process because there are gonna be a number of jurisdictions that aren't gonna make this lift. I mean, our folks, it's a commitment and, congratulations to them for taking this on. So no discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, the resolution is passed unanimously. And so that brings us to resolution 2029C, item 9C, resolution 2024-04, sewer rates, codifying the approved wastewater services interlocal agreement with Spokane County by resolution. Who wants to do this one? Anyone? Treasurer?
I can jump in.
Okay, Mr. Wurst.
So the resolution is a byproduct of the city code. All of the changes to utility rates, water and or sewer, must be set by resolution of the council. Recall in connection with the interlocal agreement for wastewater that was adopted by the council or approved by the council last month, there was discussion regarding the, changing of the Spokane County treatment charge that's required to be charged as part of that interlocal agreement. So what you have before you is a resolution revising the treatment charge from $13.55 per month to a scaled charge for fiscal year 2024 starting at $18.24 and then scaled over a 5-year period. Again, recall that part of those negotiations with the county We've not been paying that, the city has not been paying that, the city's customers have not been paying that to the county. And the county's not putting us at its normal charge immediately, that it's gonna be scaled up over a 5-year period, so.
So this codifies, by accepting the interlocal agreement, we need to make the resolution that actually adjusts the rates by resolution. There will be based on acceptance of this resolution, there will be a notice to ratepayers that will be going out to every residence and every person who is listed as the ratepayer, because the two may not be the same. The property owner, for the city of Millwood, the property owner is the ratepayer, not the addressee necessarily. But everybody will be getting notice of the change in a letter that is basically like a frequently asked questions that will explain the history of our wastewater treatment, the reasons for the change, what happened to facilitate the change, the reasons for the change, what the ramifications are of the change, everything else. So that will be delivered to ratepayers. This charge won't take effect until October, correct?
Yeah, for September.
Yes, so you will, so the first time a resident sees the new charges will be on the bill they receive in October, which will be their billing for their September service. Any questions for us on notice and actual implementation on this? We don't have enough spaces on the bills, so to itemize the two charges separately, to itemize the treatment charge and the operations charge, so we will have a lump parameter, but it will show that we will explain what the charge is actually consists of. Because we have the charge for actual effluent treatment, and then we pay the capital charges for plant facilities, maintenance, operation.
Bottom line is the county charge.
It's a county charge, but there's two pieces to it, and those two pieces are important because those two pieces can change independently based on conditions that the county has to enter into and meet. So, any other questions?
My only question was the wording for fiscal year, because our fiscal year is not October, it's September. So that was my only, and Deb just clarified that, but I don't know why we call it fiscal year.
And Exhibit A, it says fiscal year.
Says fiscal year. I don't know.
So,
The full packet.
do we wish,
Our fiscal year is the same as a calendar year in Millwood.
Yes, it is.
so it would be, 2024, that really should say, per month for the remainder of fiscal year 2024.
Yeah.
So we can make that
Does it say that?
error, it's on page 49, page 3 of the resolution Exhibit A. Keep going.
No, this is
49,
not,
sorry.
49.
Page 49.
Oh, this one. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
The annual increase.
Yeah, so
Yes.
let's change that first line from per month for fiscal year, we'll say for the remainder of fiscal year 2024.
Yes.
And then another raise in January, or
Right.
in
Yep.
February for the
For
January.
2025, yeah,
Mhm.
that's correct.
Okay. So with that change to Exhibit A, do I have a motion on the resolution as changed?
I make a motion to accept resolution 2024-04 with the change.
Is there a second?
The second,
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
well, we knew this day was going to come. When we did our rate study, 3-4 years ago, we looked at, the county had never raised these rates, and that's why we have the county line
We,
in our bill.
I will say that we've kicked that can an additional 12 years, if not longer.
I was in on the 2010 negotiations for that, so yeah. It's been a while.
16 years.
Yep. So, we had a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, resolution 2024-04 is passed unanimously. And as I said, when do we think we will get that notice to ratepayers out? Gonna try for this week or next
We're
week?
gonna try for this week,
No.
next week at the latest.
Next week at the latest, so we will be having something to all ratepayers explaining that and getting it out there, and it's a pretty good summary of what is actually transpiring. So that brings us to item 9D, the Housing and Community Development Advisory Committee. There is a vacancy. I would ask Mr. Culler to explain kind of what this is.
So it's a countywide consortium that oversees distribution, at least of some of the HUD money and the community block grant development money that comes into the county. I chaired it, I believe, for 2 or 3 years before Kate McLaughlin took the chair over, or took over the position. And then I jumped to SWAC. Well, it turns out my SWAC membership expired, Solid Waste Advisory Committee membership expired in December, so I'm currently not sitting on any boards. So I was going to ask to go back on the Housing and Community Development Advisory Committee board. And part of that is to talk to some of the representatives about some of the HUD properties in Millwood that we've had issues with, see if we can get some movement on at least upkeep and management of those houses that are owned by HUD. That's the brief of it.
So I would say that because this is an open position, Mr. Culler has voiced interest. Is there anyone else who is interested in said position?
I just have a clarifying question. This is different than the steering committee of elected officials that you spoke to last time, correct?
That is correct.
This is the HUD that, Kate, yeah?
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah. This is not the steering committee of elected officials, most definitely. So, anybody else having any interest? So with Mr. Culler as the interested party, do I have a motion to appoint Mr. Culler to the Community Development Block Grant, what are we calling this?
Advisory Committee.
Housing, yes, Housing and Community Development Advisory Committee, is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, moved and seconded, any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, Mr. Culler, that's your chair now.
Thank you.
You brought up something, do we need somebody on the SWAC?
I chaired it, I think, the last 2 years, and then my term expired in December. And then I missed a meeting, and I showed up, and they said, well, we thought you missed the meeting because your term expired. So we might want to put somebody on SWAC.
Now, when is that meeting?
When is it, or what?
Yeah, when?
It's Wednesday afternoons at 3, I believe it's the third Wednesday of every month at 3 p.m.
And what does it stand for?
Solid Waste Advisory Committee. It's through the county, solid waste system, and it's mostly run by the county staff.
So that entity is, if you do not develop your own state compliant solid waste management plan, you then opt into the county's solid waste management plan. And so City of Spokane has their own solid waste management plan, so they do not participate. But, and I do not believe Cheney participates because I think they have their own solid waste management plan.
Liberty Lake does, and I think the Valley does as well.
Yes, the Liberty Lake and the Valley, that's why they utilize Sunshine.
Yep.
But everybody else in the area and all unincorporated jurisdictions are part of that solid waste advisory consortium. They are the ones that anytime we are looking at changing our solid waste streams. So it was a big deal when it looked like the incinerator might close, because where were we gonna send everything? Typically SWAC doesn't get too exciting until somebody thinks that the incinerator is going to close, or rail.
Landfill changes.
Yes, landfill changes, things like that. So is there any interest from anyone?
I do it.
You'll do it? Anybody else interested? So do I have a motion for Mr. Van Hees for appointment to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee?
I so move.
Second,
I'll second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, all in
I got a garbage.
favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? So Mr. Van Hees, you are now appointed to the SWAC, and we will make sure that for Deb Geiger gets advised that you are now the person. We will have all pertinent information forwarded to your city email address, et cetera, et cetera.
It's every other.
All right, so
Too late, Dan.
No, Hamilton.
But we've got one weekly.
STA is too damn close to that.
That's true.
So and then based on the executive session, we are adding item 9E for consideration, which is,
It is a settlement agreement between the City of Millwood and Inland Empire Paper Company to reach full and final settlement of all issues related to the case entitled City of Millwood versus Inland Empire Paper, Superior Court, Spokane Superior Court, case number 22-2-03741-32, which would bring resolution to the litigation involving the condemnation action brought by the city against Inland Empire Paper.
so as we know, we have, as part of the Argonne project, we have been looking to acquire property from Inland Empire Paper. It has been a long and tortuous process, but through a settlement agreement, the city has reached agreement with Inland Empire Paper to acquire the necessary frontage for the Argonne project. By completing this acquisition, that will allow us to expend or authorize funds from WashDOT. Those funds will be obligated by WashDOT for the project. Those funds are available, and as such, that project will become funded and upon completion of execution of this agreement. Are there any questions from the council regarding the settlement agreement as presented? Do I have a motion on the acceptance of the settlement agreement and authorization of the mayor to sign said agreement?
I make a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the settlement agreement on behalf of the city of Millwood for the City of Millwood v. Inland Empire case number 22-2-03741-32.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, the settlement agreement is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. And that closes our action items for this evening. That brings us to our reports. Our first report is from Ms. Mackin, the treasurer and acting city clerk report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. On the clerk side, we have fulfilled 2 routine public records requests for financial information from Open the Books. Code enforcement, we have no new code violations taking place. That was kind of different. In finance, the budget survey did not go out in the August bills as anticipated. We are shooting for the September bill. There was, we weren't quite ready, and then there was another insert to go in. I forgot about Millwood Days, I'm sorry. We always put it in there, so. And since our machine will only likes to do 2 at a time, it didn't get out. But we will shoot for September. I've begun the preparation for the 2024 budget amendment. I hope to have the first viewing at the September council meeting for you. And then I have also begun gathering the information on anticipated intergovernmental revenues for next year, as we begin our process. We also had to insert 65 leak reports this month. It was huge, the amount of people on the leak report. It worked out to be about 9% of the city. Usually that's sprinkler systems, so.
What report?
The leak report,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
so about 9% of our meters were on there, so that's big. Other than that, I just wanna let you know I'll be taking some vacation days this week and then the whole last week of August, so.
Any questions for Deb? So before we move on, a couple things. First, because she did the code enforcement piece, I do want to say that this is not a code enforcement action, but the city is aware of issues with a home that is owned by HUD within the city, and the city is keeping abreast of that. Obviously, that has to move through HUD's process. But we are aware of the situation, and we are keeping tabs on it as it progresses. So if folks bring that to your attention, we are aware of it, we are working through it. The other is, on the leak report, it doesn't necessarily mean you have a leak.
Correct.
What it means is that the water usage appears very excessive. And we have basically given our conservation requirements in our water system plan, I think what we've talked about from the utility side, from the billing side, is looking at who our top 10 users are of that. Who our top 10 users of water are, and basically sending out leak reports on that, because there are some individuals that would appear to have some pretty excessive water use, residences. For commercial properties are what they are. You expect Safeway, et cetera, to be using water. So yes, the leak report doesn't mean they're leaking. It is just more of their water usage is greatly in excess of what their normal water usage is, or in some level of excess. All right, so that brings us to item 10B, our facilities report. Mr. Shiwi.
Thank you. Well, we finally have a fully inspected operating elevator. Feel free to ride. I have AAA scheduled to come out and do a full city sweep. We usually do that about this time of month in August in preparation of Millwood Days. And the county will be coming through the last week to touch up all of our striping and stuff, so we want the streets clean for that as well. At the end of last week, I started putting together a pavement patch list for areas that we've had to add cold mix to during the winter months. And then there's a couple other areas that needed attention that were on last year's patch list but didn't get done because of budget limitations. And I haven't forgotten about the tree grant. The last update I got from DNR on the tree grant was at the first of this month, and they said that our agreement is in their contracting staff for their review, and they will put together the full agreement, and we should have a full agreement ready for a signature very soon. And that is all the other stuff that's going on. Then I was tasked with starting to do some traffic calming stuff. And from Matt's wonderful demonstration he did, we figured, the first thing to look at would be starting to narrow the lanes down. So I'm thinking, cool, let's get rid of some painted lines and put some new painted lines on. Not that easy. So I thought, the old school way of doing it, they go out and they sandblast off the paint, put on new paint. Now with the EPA and stuff, they don't do that because it's messy and the air gets messed up. So now they have a new fancy tool out there where they have this truck with water jets, and they go up and it's kind of like a super duper high pressure power washer basically. And they use jetted water to blast the paint off the road. So there's only 2 companies in town that do it. I talked to one of them, and I had no idea what this costs, you know, but gotta start somewhere. So, I kinda got a breakdown here for you. They got, a little over 10,000 lineal feet, that's how they measure it out. The removal would be about $21,700. Then you add for the stop bars at Fowler and the railroad crossing symbols where the line goes into IEP at. And then they got blackout a fog line, which starts at the Arboretum and goes up Empire for a little over 4,000 feet. They have to black it out because that fog line right there is so close to the edge of asphalt, I guess their machine would just tear up the edge of the asphalt, so they can't do it. The problem with blacking out the paint lines and why we can't just do that on everything is because it'll last about a season until we go scraping over it with our snow plows and all the black paint comes off and the lines come back. So after seeing a price tag of about 24 grand to do that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. One of the nights when I couldn't sleep so well, I had the great idea, well, we got a chip seal planned in our 6-year street plan. Chip seal would eradicate all the paint lines. Why do we wanna throw away 24 grand to remove paint lines when maybe we can just do a chip seal? So I got on the 6-year street plan and looked that up, and you can see it's up there highlighted. Welchcomer said, you know, tentatively 2026, which, like the mayor had said before, this stuff can bounce around, it's just a placeholder. So, and the Welchcomer stuck this number in here, almost 400 grand to do a chip seal. Now that is obviously a slightly inflated price to accommodate for inflation in 26, but that's also including just Joey Bag of Donuts contractor coming out and doing the whole thing start to finish. Now, I don't know who put this in place, maybe Paul, but we've had like a super good hookup deal with the county that I'm just now realizing. And so I went and did some digging and found a contact with the county, and she was super cool, gave me some information. And we go back to this, you got your standard chip seal, which is what we did on a section of Grace between Argonne and Sargent, and then Sipple, North-South Road over by West Valley. And so that's a standard chip seal, and then they put a fog seal over it. The fog seal is like a secondary top coat that goes over the top. It helps hold the aggregate down, and it gives it more of a black finish, I guess, which she was saying is a benefit in shady areas, and in wintertime, the black finish kind of helps hold the heat in, melt the ice and such. And I think she said they seal coat 50 to 60% of any chip seal roads they do in the county, and she recommended it for us. And Paul had those other areas fog sealed when we chip sealed those as well. Then she brings up this, trying to upsell me, I guess, she brings up this thing called a scrub seal they've been doing. So the scrub seal, I got a couple of things on that. She was saying that the scrub seal, they have this, it's a thicker emulsion type oil compound they put down that's a lot more durable and thicker than the normal oil they use. And they have like this broom that goes behind it. So instead of just spraying it down on the road, they spray it down and then this broom goes by and it actually fills in all the cracks. So what that would do that would eliminate us having to go out and do a crack seal first, which ideally in a perfect world is a 4-person job, which is obviously our whole crew. And weeks of time for prep and all that stuff to get them ready and then actually doing the process. This scrub seal would eliminate that whole thing, and it basically, that emulsion they put down, it basically does like a flow coat over the whole road and seals everything up. And you can see by reading through this, you know, it eliminates the need to crack seal. Studies have shown that it can take a lower quality road that has some alligatoring and stuff in it and actually bring it up to a road that has been just with a standard chip seal and get better longevity out of it. I think on the next slide, there's a couple pictures of the, like you can see behind that truck in the middle picture, there's a section of road there that's really alligatored. I think typically on a standard chip seal, they would actually want that removed and repaved in that area. So I mean, if they're saying that you can do the scrub seal over this, I mean, that's money saving right there, not having to put new asphalt in that section, you know? So I started looking at that. She sent me some prices on that. And if you, there's some pictures up there of what it looked like after 10 months. And you can kind of see, and I don't know, I'd have to ask her if those have been fog sealed over or not. But, and then I think on the next one, you got pros and cons that they went through. And, you know, longer lasting roads, the broom they use, it goes to fill in all the cracks with that emulsion. On the cons, they said, you know, messy on the production days. Excess rock needed to fill in the wider cracks, which I guess they go by and must fill in the larger gaps with a filler before they actually put that in there, probably for, you know, durability and everything. Which, I mean, that doesn't matter to us because they're doing the job, so whatever. Then a little bit of added oil in the radiuses, whatever. Now the second one from the bottom, sweeping, took longer time to complete due to shedding rock. I'd have to clarify with her if that fog seal we put over top would help lock down that rock better, so maybe you don't have the shedding, but there again, that's them doing the sweeping, not us, so. And then the neighborhood was familiar with asphalt complained about the pavement surface, but I think we can all realize that in a perfect world, yeah, we'd love to just repave everybody's roads with nice, clean, fresh asphalt, but I don't think anybody wants to pay the taxes to do that, so we're back at chip seal. So, if you go back to that main Empire traffic calming page, we got the prices for the scrub seal, and it's really not that much more. So on the standard chip seal with the fog seal, they have their initial prices of like $54,700 and $9,300. That's what it costs the county to chip seal their roads. They put the 15% contingency on there just to make sure that they make a couple bucks and they're not losing their butt doing the work for us. And so the only reason why the main chip seal with the fog seal over it is $74,000 for everything, and the scrub seal is only 71, is because if you notice, we didn't put the fog seal on there. So you'd basically be looking at another, say, $9 or $10,000 to do the fog seal over top. But overall, you're only 40 cents more a square foot to do the scrub seal versus the chip seal. So, I mean, I don't know, in my opinion, it seems like a pretty solid investment, you know? So then I said, okay, well, if we're gonna do either of the chip seals, I mean, that's a fraction of the price of what they had quoted on the 6-year plan as a ballpark price, you know? Then we got a little bit of surveying. Matt Gillis was talking about, we just gotta find basically the center point of the road to figure out where our new striping is gonna be, and then build out from there for the rest of our lines for our bike lanes on either side and everything. So minimal price there. And then back to the restriping, the company that gave me the prices for removal also gave me prices for restriping. And there again, we're getting a smoking deal from the county at 11 cents a lineal foot for restriping, where that company, if they were gonna come in and restripe for us, was anywhere between 36 and 42 cents a lineal foot to do the same thing. So a fraction of the price to restripe it as well. So, I don't know. We're saving, I mean, I don't know, instead of spending, you know, $24,000 to remove and add stripes, I think, and you know, you figure, okay, well, we got in a 6-year street plan that eventually we're going to have to take care of that road anyway. Probably cost effective to just do the whole thing in one shooting match and walk away from it. So that's what I came up with as far as the road narrowing. It kind of snowballed into a huger thing, of course, like everything does. But then after that, you know, you got law enforcement. If we're gonna have a full-time cop up there, have them write some tickets and slow some people down. It worked for Matt. He got a ticket when he was in high school going to his parents' house. He slowed down because he
Never spit again. Meeting, he brings that up.
You don't ever know, you know, where they're gonna sit at and what time they're gonna be there. So everybody will kind of slow down, but then you also have the issue of volume of traffic coming down. So then you might have to start talking about the traffic circles or something, making it inconvenient for the people to actually travel that route. And I'm not gonna go real in-depth into traffic circles, cause you already had that. And they ran between, I think it was 47,000 to 7,000 per circle, depending on which. They ran between, I think it was, so. 47,000 to 7,000 per circle, depending on which. They ran between, I think it was.
On the
47,000 to
neighborhood,
7,000 per circle, depending on
complaints
which.
about the surface changing, and then you said, well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
47,000
That
physically,
if they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
That physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.
that physically,
If they were complaining about the surface changing, something about the surface. Well, yeah, we would want new pavement.